pray that you just open our hearts and speak through me. And I pray that this service goes the way that you want it to. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi. I am so excited to get to talk to you again. Here, are we going to move this out? Okay. All right. You want to move the chair?
Sorry, Chris. I got you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I am so excited that I get to talk to you guys again. For those of you who weren't here, Pat mentioned it earlier, but last week we started a series called Heart of God. And we are looking into the heart of God by looking at David. The main verse of this whole series, it says that David was a man after God's own heart. So what that means, all that means is that David shared the same characteristics in his heart as God's heart. His heart was reflecting God's heart. So by looking at David and the story of his life, we can look at what God is like and what the heart of God is. And so today, I want to talk to you about the characteristic of being bold. And my title for this message, it's very creative, it's called Being Bold. So I just want to pray really quick and then I'll start. So Jesus, thank you. I pray that you speak through me and I pray that you teach us how to be bold. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. So I feel like we all have heard the word bold before, like we know what it means, but I realized that I decided I'm going to look it up. I want to see what it really means.
Yeah.
And so the definition of bold, to be bold, means showing an ability to take risks, being confident and courageous. So that's what bold means. And let me tell you, God is bold. He created bold. Like he knows what it means. He is bold. And we know that. Not bald, bold. and we know that because we can look at Jesus and we can see the life that Jesus lived. There are so many times in the Bible when Jesus was so bold. One of my favorite stories was the one about the woman caught in adultery. That story, it's so cool. So basically what happens, and I'm sure you guys have heard it before, but the Pharisees and the teachers bring this woman to Jesus. And they're like, Jesus, this woman was caught in adultery. This isn't just a rumor. She was actually caught in the act of adultery. And the law says to stone this woman. And they were right. The law did say that. The law said to stone this woman. But Jesus, what do you say? And they were doing it as a trap for Jesus because they knew that Jesus was different. And he probably wouldn't say that. So Jesus stood in front of them and he said, any of you who have never sinned, throw the first stone. And so one by one, they all were like, oh, so they dropped their stones. And one by one, they left.
Yeah.
They were completely, they didn't know what to do because they're like, wow, okay, he has a point.
Right.
And so it's just the woman and Jesus looks at the woman and he says, where are all your accusers? And she's like, can you imagine how shocked she was? She was like, they're gone. And Jesus said, then you go too. And he set her free and he let her go free. I just want you to picture this, how bold this actually was.
Right.
These weren't just everyday townspeople going to Jesus, like saying this. These were the leaders, the religious leaders, the political leaders. These were the people who were most powerful, had the most authority. These were the highest of the highs. And Jesus stood in front of all them, and he not only went against their belief, but he went against the social norm. He went against the law. He went against everything that they ever knew just to save this woman. I think that is so bold.
Yeah,
He stood in front of a group of the most powerful people and told them off.
Yeah,
That is bold.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so there are so many other times in the Bible when Jesus was bold. When he went into the temple and he flipped the tables because he didn't think what they were doing was right in the temple. When he died on the cross for us. That was bold. Jesus is bold. And because we see that and we saw the life of him, we know that God is bold.
Yeah.
So if David was a man after God's own heart, that means David must have been bold too. Which he was. So I want to read to you a verse from 1 Samuel 17:34. So Pat talked a little bit about this last week, but This was as Goliath, the 9-foot tall man, was asking, okay, who's gonna fight me? I need someone to fight me. This is what David goes to the king, King Saul, and says this. He says, hold on, let me find it. Okay. Ah. I put my sticky note over it. Okay. David said to Saul, let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him. Saul replied, you are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth. But David said to Saul, your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine.
Yeah, that's so good.
David, what we said last week, this 15 to 17-year-old kid just stood in front of the king and said he is going to beat this man. Remember, like Pat said, it's like Jesse going in front of Goliath saying, I'm going to beat this man. That's what David just did.
So-
That was bold.
I'm gonna choke you.
Go, Jesse.
And so my
Okay,
question
Jesse.
when reading this, and I think it should be all of our questions, is it possible that we can be this bold?
Yeah.
Is it possible that we can be as bold as David
Yeah.
and even as bold as Jesus was?
That's good.
And
That's good.
I realized that, yeah, we can.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to give you 2 reasons why we can be bold. 2 reasons. That's it. Very short. My first reason why we can be bold is because God's got your back.
That's good.
You know when like you're in a situation and the second someone comes next to you and is like, I'm on your side, you immediately get more confident
Yeah.
and get more cocky. You're like, yeah, this person's on my side.
And you
I'm
get
better
too
than.
cocky and end up losing.
Yeah, but only when it's not God.
Amen. Okay, come on.
So you guys know the movie Monsters Inc.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so Boo, in this movie, Boo is the little girl, and she is terrified of this scary, slimy monster named Randall. She is so scared of him. She's terrified. And the whole movie is about her being scared of him. And the second that Sully's the big blue monster, backs her up, she immediately gets brave. There's this scene where Sully grabs Randall and he's beating him up and he's holding him in front of Boo, and Boo all of a sudden gets brave. She's like, rah, and she starts growling at him out of nowhere. This little girl is growling at this creepy monster because she knows she has someone stronger on her side.
Oh, come on.
I don't know if it's not working. Okay, anyway, I was going to show you, but that's okay. I think I explained it well enough. I think what's cool about that and what's funny about that is that David was probably a lot like Boo.
Yeah, that's good.
In this,
That's
in
so
this,
good.
Saul said all these things. He said, you're weak, you're young, you can't do it, you're not strong enough. And I think it's interesting, David didn't deny any of that. David didn't say, I'm big enough, I'm old enough, I'm strong enough, because he knew he wasn't qualified to win this.
Yeah.
But he says that God will do this.
Yeah.
He stood in front of the king so boldly because he knew that God was on his side. And so that's just like what we can do. We can stand boldly because we know that God is on our side.
Yeah.
So that is my first point.
That's good.
God's got your back.
Amen.
My second point is we can look at what God has done and anticipate what he's gonna do.
Yeah, that's so good.
So you guys know those type of people who never text back? Like you will text them and you just know I'm not gonna hear back. And if you're lucky, it might be the next day. Like you all know some of those people.
Yeah.
And maybe some of you are those people. Yeah, you know who you are. Well, I hate to say it and I hate to admit it, but I am one of those people. It's not that I don't love you, it's not that I don't care about you, I'm just bad at texting. And it really gets on people's nerves. I can't tell you how many times people yell at me for it.
Yeah.
But it gets on no one's nerves more than my mom. From
Oh,
the
yeah.
day I got my first phone, this has been an issue.
Yeah.
And so, especially now that she's in Connecticut and I'm in Florida, it really bothers her. I cannot respond for an hour and she thinks she doesn't love me, she got kidnapped. I need to fly to Florida. Like she won't take it. She won't stand for it. And so eventually, after time and time again of me not responding, she started texting Pat instead. She would try and get Pat.
Get an answer?
Yeah, she would get, if she needed me, she would call Pat. If she wanted to tell me she missed me, she would tell Pat to tell me. Because she knew that she would answer.
She?
I mean,
Oh, you're such a
sorry.
cute girl.
Sorry, Pat is
Is that
not a
not
she. Sorry.
Well,
She knew that he would answer. But what my mom did was she looked at everything that I've done, and because of that, she could anticipate what I was gonna do.
Yeah, that's so good.
And that's where the whole, we as like humans, this is so natural for us. This is where the term reputation comes from. Is because we're able to look at people's past, look at what they've done, and because of that, it directs us into where they're going, what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
The cool thing is that God has a reputation too,
Yeah.
but his reputation is perfect.
Yeah.
It is perfect.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
If you say it's not that
So-
blasphemy.
In this verse, David, I think it's so cool. David says, God rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear. And so I know that because he did it there, he's going to do it for me with this Philistine. He looked at all those times that God has saved him, and because of that, he's like, he's going to do it for me again.
Yeah.
And so for us, what does that mean? That means that we can look at everything that God's done and be confident that he's going to do it again.
Yeah.
Maybe you're listening and you're like, okay, God has never rescued me out of the mouth of a lion. Like, he's never come through for me like that.
Well,
of
we've never
course.
been in the mouth of a lion.
Yeah. So of course, David was bold. I would be bold too. But I promise you, there are countless times in your life when God has come through for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Countless times, even when you don't realize it,
Yeah.
God has come through for you.
Mm.
Even when it seems like he didn't,
That's so good.
the fact that you're here tonight shows that he did.
Yes, that's so
God
good.
has come through for you countless
That's so
times.
good.
And if that's not enough, we can look at the Bible.
Yeah.
This whole book is a story about God consistently coming through for his
Yeah,
people.
that's so good.
God consistently fulfilling his promises.
Mm.
Him consistently showing up. So we know that God did it then, and he's going to do it for me.
Yeah.
We can be bold because God will do it again.
Yeah.
He's gonna do it
So
again.
good.
Those are my 2 points.
Yeah.
We can be bold because you can be bold because God's got your back,
Yeah.
and you can look at what he's done
Mm.
and know that he's gonna do it again.
That's so good.
And so to close, Ann, you want to come back up and play a little bit more? I want to talk, maybe to encourage you and motivate you a little bit. I want to talk to you about what happens when you're bold.
Mm.
Later in 1 Samuel 17:47.
1747.
No, not that. 1747, David was talking to Goliath. He was standing in front of Goliath and he was telling him everything that's going to come from him being bold. Everything that's going to happen because David was bold. And this is what he says. He says, the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel.
That's so good.
All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves. For the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands. So I want to look at that first part. It says the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. David was saying, I was bold, and because of that, the whole world is going to know that there's a God. And this happened when Jesus was bold. Jesus was bold to these Pharisees, and because of it, they saw who God was in a whole new light. They saw parts of God and characteristics of God that they had never seen before. Jesus' boldness led them to seeing the love of God in a whole new way.
That's so good.
And it's the same for you.
That's so good.
When you're bold, when we're bold, the world is going to see God.
Yeah.
One by one, person at a time, when we're bold, the world's going to see God.
Yeah.
And being bold is one way to pursue God and love people. David was bold in pursuing God. He said yes to God to go and fight. He was bold in pursuing God.
Yeah.
Jesus was bold in loving people.
That's so good.
And because of that, they both showed the world a little bit of who God was. And so let's take part of that.
Yeah.
Let's be bold so that we can show the world who God is.
Yes.
And maybe it's one thing at a time. Maybe you want to be bold in pursuing God.
Yeah.
And you want to take steps to be more bold than that. Maybe it's being more bold in your faith. Maybe it's being more bold in loving people.
Yeah.
I just want to encourage you. Let's be bold because we have every right to
That's
be.
so good.
God's got our back, and from his reputation, we know that he will come through for us when we're bold.
That's
So if you guys want to stand, I just want to pray it out. And I want you to, this song, we chose this song for a reason. Because the chorus, it says, I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'm going to see you do it again. This song is saying, it's a declaration of, I'm going to be bold because you've done it, you've come through for me before, and I know that you're going to come through for me again.
That's so good.
So we're going to sing this one more time after I pray, and I want you to sing it. Sing it, even if you don't feel it, sing it as a declaration. I'm going to pray. God, I thank you that you give us the ability to be bold. I thank you that you have our backs. God, you are always defending us. You are always fighting for us, God. And I thank you that you have shown us time and time again that you will come through for us. So God, I pray that from tonight on, we see a whole new level of boldness. God, among each person here, I pray for a supernatural boldness. God, boldness that they didn't even know that they could contain. God, I pray for opportunities to show that boldness. I pray that you surprise them in their everyday lives of how bold they can be. God, we thank you that you've got our back and you will come through for us. We love you so much.